Gadoo, gadoo, gadoo. Badoo, 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 badoo. Tracing paper. Scissors. A pencil. Here we go. And a ruler. Bam. Tools. I'm gonna try and do this in the frame this time, unlike last time. So silly. Okie dokie. Let's see what I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to pop the modesty panel away for right now. So I'm tracing this pattern onto some tracing paper and realized that I don't actually need to do that because I'm going to make these pieces smaller than they are. So I'm just going to trace the pattern onto the twill cotton fabric that I have, cotton twill, white cotton twill fabric that I have, in whichever order you prefer, although I just read something about how there is a very specific order. But anyway, I'm just going to make all of my little notations where the waists go and all of the notches so that I line this up properly because it is a little bit of an oddball shape. And also make sure to write the piece number on all of these. Next up, I'm just going to cut this whole thing off the main piece of fabric. I'm really sorry, my camera just can't figure out what to focus on here because it's all white, except for, you know, like one little orange fox magnet utensil tray. Anyway, so it is all pinned together. This is the front center, this is the bottom, this is the top. I did not follow her pattern for the front, which is this, because I wanted a little bit of creative leeway. So you can see here that my pieces that I cut out are a lot smaller than the original pattern pieces. I have them all laid out for you to see how different they all are. Here are all the coral pieces sewn together. So what I just did was I just sewed a piece of tape onto the back of this. It's white, you can't really see it. I put in 2 pieces of boning, which is just zip tie. These seams don't have boning. I don't want them to be boned. I want them to be comfortable and flexible. The only other place I might put boning is back here where the eyelets are going to be, and I still haven't decided if I want to do metal or hand sewn, just because I really prefer the way they look hand sewn, but metal, obviously you just whack it with a hammer and it's done. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and just hand sew all this. I've got all these extra little doodahs of thread here. I don't want that, seriously. When I use a thimble, I pull the thread out of the needle constantly. But so where we're at reality with this dress is I do want to make a slip that's cotton. I'm sorry for the weird edit just then, but I just decided that I didn't want to show the design process of this slip because I went through maybe 5 different designs and it's just really confusing. So I think what I'm gonna do is make a final pattern and put that up for sale in my shop when I finish my shop. Hopefully within the next month, I will get off of Etsy and have my own shop again. This is my old massage table that actually this is my very first massage table, and I took all the leather and foam padding off and I stapled my cutting mat to it. Schweppes ginger ale. I know people like that kind of information. Here I'm just pinning and sewing all of these things into place and grading my seams and felling my seams and making them all look really beautiful and hemming the bottom and, you know, just trying to get everything as neatly and pretty as possible because this is a garment that I want to keep, so it needs to be sewn together really well. And sometimes you just have to take the time to do this, but it's totally worth it. I wasn't able to film any audio for any of this. My family is always home right now because it's summer break, so I chose not to film with audio because it would just be so many interruptions, so that's why I'm doing a voiceover. For the cape, I'm starting out with a circle skirt pattern, and then I do a little research and discover that pretty much most of these capes were longer in the back than in the front. So I decided to make an oval, so I cut 1/2 an oval and 1/2 a circle, and you'll see when I show it here, it's shorter in the front than it is in the back. Now I'm working on the hood, so I just measure how deep I want it, how tall I want the hood, and then the curve for my shoulder so that it's the right length in inches. I'm going to go ahead and cut out lining made out of the dress fabric, which I think was a really nice touch. Building the hood is a lot of steps, so you have to sew the back seam up and then grade the seam and then sew it back down to encase the other seam so that it's not crazy, and then you sew the lining to the outer hood right sides together, and then once I do that, I'm going to understitch the lining side so that the lining stays back and that the silk looks nice and crisp. So definitely a lot of ironing and trimming, and here I'm getting ready to sew the underlining so it looks nice, and gonna go ahead and iron that with my dual purpose sewing machine mat that I made. I'm so proud of myself. Next, I'm just flattening out those 2 pieces so that once I stitch this onto my cape, the hood isn't weirdly baggy. So I'm just pinning the cape to the hood, and then I'm going to pin bias tape on top and sew that all together as one seam. And then I'm going to fold the bias tape up and stitch that down. I do want to make sure that I have that stitched so that there's an opening on either side of the bias tape on the off chance I want to put a tie through that, which is what I originally do. I do take that out and I put in a button loop with some silk, and then I just sew on a button because I like the button look better than tying another tie. So just one more tie. And then I gotta hem the sides, which I do just fold over twice and hem down. And then here's the dress with the corset and the cape. The cape is finished except for the button. Now I'm gonna work on the gauntlets. So I just cut out a shape I liked. I'm cutting it down to size to fit where I want it to fit. And then I'm gonna cut some lining out and sew. No, I don't sew. I'm gonna glue on some really pretty applique flowers that I think match the fabric. And then I also have some rhinestones that I glue on with E6000. And then I sew these together. I put a snap on the little corner there on both sides, and it's all done. I'm really, really proud of this silliness that I'm working on here. So it's now time for the reveal.